Okay, guys, we've made these two posters for two different jazz performances, and we want to get them printed. So we've put them together according to printing needs. We've used the bleed, we've kept everything in the live, and we've made sure our images are 150 ppi or bigger. So let's just check on that before we export this. So this is how you can do that. Open the links panel. Now, if it's not open, you can always find it under here, links. It's not even nested, it's just sitting there. Now, when you first open this links panel, it has the name of your files and what page they're on. I have this additional column here that's really helpful. And here's how you can do it. Go to Panel Options, and in the link information, everything shows. That's this bottom part down here. But the column, you can control the page. If you don't want to know what page it's on, you can cancel that. But I like to know what page it's on. But mainly, what I want you to pay attention to is the effective PPI. Now, I've made that so it shows in my column. And you can see it's the only thing that does. Let me make that column wide enough. Okay, so on the Jazz guy, the actual PPI is 300, but that's not meaningful because I've used this guy at an enlarged rate. You can see my scale is 152%, which means I've taken those 300 PPI and I've made them smaller because I used them larger. So I want you to watch when I effectively make this image smaller. Watch the effective PPI number. So if you want to get an image higher resolution, that's all you have to do. You just got to make it smaller. And you notice my container is not changing size, just the image. Now he's at 222 effective PPI, and you can see the number change up here. The actual PPI is just the PPI that it was created at the size it was created. That doesn't even really matter, other than telling you that there's room for you to use it at a larger size. Let's click on some of these. This one is 787, which is too big, and I'll talk to you about that in a minute. Because I've used these so small, and that's why when you have small files, it's better to go with a layout like this. Find a way to kind of combine the images or do a layout with a small image, because if you use it small enough, it'll be a really high DPI or PPI. Okay, so you checked your images. Other than that, if you've kept everything in the live and bleed like we talked about, the only thing you need to do is go here to export. And we're going to export this as Jazz Posters, Don Vito, and that should do it actually. That's how I want you to save it. So you can see here my format is PDF print. Okay, and so then you get this panel. Now for today, what I really want to talk to you about is two things. One is compression. Now remember, we have some of these images that are huge. 1475 is huge compared to what we're using it for. We only really need 150 to 300. Anything over 300 is just extras. So you want to make sure that on your color images, your grayscale images also, because we have grayscale images here. Anything over 300, we want to make 150. So for today, I want you to not have huge files. I want this to be 150. So that means, and we don't have any monochrome images. You could put it there if you want, but so the idea is that all of these high res images are going to come down to 150 pixels per inch. What I usually make it for printing is everything at 300. So for images above 300, they'll all be made 300, which is usually what printers want. But because these are posters and people don't look at them as close up, you can go as low as 150 because they're meant to be read at a distance. So these will be plastered all over the school and the nearby transportation areas to drive people towards these concerts. Then when it comes to marks and bleeds, we need to let them know where to trim this, because we have on the yellow poster, the yellow goes beyond the page to the bleed, right? So we need to tell them where to trim it. And that is just the crop marks. You don't need bleed, registration, color bars, page information. That's more for printers if they want it. But if you are being asked to deliver a PDF file, a simple PDF file, this is what you would do. And since we built the bleed in, now do you see when I say use document bleed settings? We already built it in. Now, if you had forgotten to put the bleed in, you could put it in here and you'd be good to go. But the likelihood is that if you didn't put the bleed in the document to begin with, you probably didn't drag all the images or solid colors out to the bleed. So it's better to set up a document with bleed and just click this box. All right, one more thing you need to know. Some of these files might be RGB. In fact, I happen to know that one of them is. We're printing this as a print file, a CMYK. Now, it used to be that you would have to convert all the files. All you have to do is say convert to destination, and our destination is web-coded printing. So that's going to export this as a CMYK document. It's going to convert all this stuff automatically. Also, make sure that you have this view PDF after exporting. That way, when you export it, we can take a look. So it will automatically open in Acrobat, and this is what I'm looking for right here. I'm going to look at your files, and I'm going to make sure that you got in a trim that trims off the extra color on this poster. That's what a printer wants, and a printer will reject anything else. A lot of printing is done online. I do a lot of printing online, and it's fantastic. The prices are great. You can do posters. You can do all kinds of stuff. They will reject any file that does not have crop marks to tell them where to cut it, an image beyond the crop marks, which is called bleed. Now, this poster has no bleed. We put a white area around these images, so there is actually no bleed to trim off. You still have to show them where to cut the poster. Color looks good, trim, everything. So this is exactly what I want you to hand in for the first part of this assignment. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to pick one of these posters and you're going to redo it for a different genre. So it could be country music or rap or instrumental, any music style you want. Go to one of the stock photo places on the assignment. You'll see what I'm talking about. You can go to Unsplash or Pixels. They have tons of music photos, very high resolution, more than you'll probably need. So for any music genre that you're looking at, I think you're going to find it. So I want you to download something. Just do one poster. You don't have to do both. You can do both if you want. I want you to keep the general layout, but I want you to change the color. I want you to change the type. I want you to change the image for sure. So you're going to have to, on the top one, either put your image in that same configuration, or why not move it around? Maybe it could be squares or circles or bubbles or any shapes you make, you can combine them in a compound path. But I want one image over those paths. If you do the bottom one, I want to see some image tinting within InDesign like we did. I want you to play around with a color scheme. And on that one, the one that you customize to your own music poster, I just want you to export that one as a JPEG. You can make that RGB in 150 because we're only looking at these online. They're not for printing. They're just for viewing and kind of showing your peers. So insert your JPEG file into this discussion and make sure that you don't post it as a link. It needs to be the actual JPEG inserted. And then take a look at some of the other posters and provide some feedback. Tell them what you think. Good luck. I can't wait to see what you come up with.